Hello everyone and welcome to Blaydeman's Movie Breakdowns. I'm Ricky Diaz, aka Blaydeman, and I am your host for this show. Welcome to the premiere episode. This is the very first episode. I'm really excited. I made this channel because I love movies and I love to talk about movies. I love to share everything I love about movies with other people, and I just like to talk movies. So on this show, I will be doing movie reviews. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I can't talk. I'll be doing movie reviews, and I'll be breaking the movies down into their individual categories, such as acting, directing, all the aspects, writing, all the aspects that make a movie a good movie, or not so good movie, or somewhere in the middle. And I'll be reviewing new movies, old movies, independent movies, big blockbusters, whatever catches my fancy. But I really want to focus on movies that more people haven't seen. But I will do the blockbusters as well. So for this first premiere episode, I thought I would do something different, not necessarily a review to get started. I thought I would do my top 10 favorite movies of 2013 because, a couple weeks ago, I'm sorry I'm putting up this video so late, a couple weeks ago, it was we moved into the new year, so I thought I would look back on the movies I didn't get a chance to review, but I might end up reviewing anyway, but I'll be focusing more on the newer ones in 2014, but I decided to take a look back at 2013 and tell you all my favorite movies and let you guys get to know kind of what my taste and my flavor of movies are. But I like all kinds, so you'll see. First, let's start off with a couple honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is Don John, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Scarlett Johansson, and Julianne Moore. I thought this movie was really funny. A little bit raunchy. It definitely is not for everybody. Like, I would not watch this with my mom because she would just be like, oh my god. It'd be weird. It's definitely not for everybody, but it's really funny, especially for a younger audience. I think it's pretty hilarious, actually. Joseph Gordon-Levitt directed, wrote, and starred in this movie. It's his directorial debut, and I thought he was excellent. He was really funny. The movie's funny. It actually has a lot of heart, too. So I definitely recommend checking it out. I thought it was really good. My second one on my honorable mention is The World's End, starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. This movie is definitely out there. Again, another one of those movies that is not for everybody. It's pretty out there as far as concept goes, but there's no doubt the writing is smart. The acting is great. The story is weird, but still really easy to follow, and very enjoyable movie. Just lots and lots of fun. It might be a little weird for some people, but I thought it was hilarious. I like weird. I am weird, if you didn't know, and I like weird. So, it really worked for me. It just missed out on my top 10. I really liked it. It was a little long for my taste. I felt could have been a little bit shorter. It took a while for the movie to get going, but I really enjoyed it. So, I definitely checked that one out. It was one that I feel like a lot of people didn't actually see. So, number 3, I don't know why I put up 6. That was stupid. 3. Next on my list is Now You See Me. Now You See Me was a really fun movie. It stars Jesse Eisenberg, Isla Fisher, Dave Franco, and Woody Harrelson. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. There really wasn't actually a lot of performance involved. I mean, don't get me wrong, the cast all performed very well, and the movie was really fun. It was a little light as far as content goes, and there were some inconsistencies and continuity things that I found with it that I didn't really like, but there's no doubt I loved Eisenberg and Franco and Harrelson. I feel like they underutilized Isla Fisher's character. I can't remember her name in the movie, but I feel like they underutilized her. Mark Ruffalo was also in it. I thought he was great. It was just a really fun movie. Maybe not the best written movie, or even directed or executed movie, but it was a lot of fun and I enjoyed it a lot. I actually saw it twice in theaters, which is a lot for me because I'm not a professional reviewer. I'm just a normal person and I don't have that much money. So, seeing it twice in theaters is actually kind of a big deal for me. So the next one on my honorable mentions is a tie between Thor 2 and Iron Man 3. Now, I like both these movies because they're Marvel movies, and I really like them, not because they're Marvel movies, but I like them because they both did the same thing, and I like them for that reason. They both explored what happens to the superhero after he becomes a superhero. But the Thor and Iron Man, both, we saw the origins of these characters. And then in Iron Man 2, we saw kind of a continuance of just him being him. But in Iron Man 3 and in Thor 2, The Dark World, we saw these two characters dealing with the aftermath of becoming a superhero and the strain it has on their life and on their relationships. And I love that. As a character study, I love that they're exploring what happens to these characters after they have become a superhero, and dealing with that decision is very hard. I can't even imagine. I mean, I'm not a superhero unless there are some ladies watching, in which case I am a superhero. Just kidding. Yeah, I liked it because it made these characters more rounded and not just, these superheroes. It made them people, and that's why I like that one particularly. The last movie on my honorable mentions before I get to my top 10 is The Conjuring. I am a huge horror movie junkie. I love horror movies. I watch the good ones, the bad ones, the ugly ones, the pretty ones, the slashers, the thrillers. I watch all of them. And I loved The Conjuring. I thought it was great. It was my top horror movie of the year. Just barely edging out Insidious 2. Very, very close. I thought it was excellent. It was really good. What I like most about it is it kind of combined the fun of a found footage film with actual good filmmaking. Anybody that knows me will know I'm not a big fan of found footage movies like Paranormal Activity and that kind of stuff. I'm not big fans of those movies, so I feel like they're kind of just lazy filmmaking, just set up a camera. It doesn't matter if the angle's bad because it's a found footage movie. They aren't professionals. So I feel like it's just a little bit lazy. And so Chronicle is my only exception to that. I thought Chronicle was a great piece of filmmaking. They did a lot more with that found footage style than Paranormal Activity and all those other movies do with just a stationary camera. So I didn't really like that. And Conjuring has a little bit of found footage in it, but not really. It combines all that fun with actual good filmmaking and good writing. So I really liked it. And it's really creepy. James Wan is just an excellent horror movie director. He really knows how to capture a intense movie experience without doing all that gore and shocking imagery. He does it through tension. And that's what I really like about The Conjuring. Let's get into my top 10. At number 10 is The Wolf of Wall Street. This movie was really good. It's Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio. Jonah Hill. I thought Jonah Hill was excellent in this movie. I thought he was great. It was really good. Again, not for everybody. It's a movie I wouldn't see with my mom. But as a matter of fact, I actually did go see it with my mom and a bunch of my other family, and it was awkward. My mom actually walked out of this movie because she just was like, "Oh, I can't handle that. That's not for me." It's not for her. It's not for everybody. It's raunchy. I think it set a record for saying the F word the most within 3 hours. So that's good job, Scorsese. Breaking barriers. I approve. Anyway, the acting was phenomenal. Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm sure he's going to get an Oscar nomination for it. I mean, he very well could win for it. And it was just a really fun movie. For me, though, it dragged a little bit. There were some portions I thought were just kind of drawn out a little too much. And it was a little too long for me. About 30 minutes too long. I would have liked to get out of there a little bit quicker. But I definitely loved watching it. But it's probably a movie I'm never going to watch again. It's too long, and the energy in the movie is just so high, you actually kind of leave exhausted. So it's a movie I'm only gonna watch the one time, but it definitely makes my top 10 a year. It was a great movie, no doubt. Awesome. Scorsese, one of the best directors of all time. So there's no denying that. At number 9 is a movie I just saw actually yesterday. And before I made this video, I actually was gonna make this video yesterday, but I waited because I wanted to see this movie because I thought maybe it might make my top 10. And I was right. The movie I have at number 9 is The Way, Way Back. It stars Sam Rockwell, Steve Carell, and that's really the only names, like big names I can name in this movie. Oh, Amanda Peet and Rob Corddry are also in it. This movie is a coming-of-age story about a young man whose mother has a new boyfriend, and they're going to a summer house for the summer, you know, as like a vacation. And this young man is not accepted pretty much by anybody. Not by his mom's boyfriend, not by his mom's boyfriend's daughter. And he feels out of place and very upset. And it's a coming-of-age story of how he finds himself. This movie is heartwarming. It has a lot of heart, really good performances. Sam Rockwell is hilarious. Almost everything he said in this movie, I was just laughing. Literally laughing out loud in my bedroom. I bet my brother was just like, what is he doing in there? I was just laughing out loud, literally. Sam Rockwell was fantastic. And this movie as a whole was just a lot of fun. So, I definitely recommend it. It's probably a movie that most people have not seen. I went out of my way to make sure I saw this movie because I have heard so many good things about it, and it definitely paid off because it was hilarious. I almost didn't have it on this video because I almost did it yesterday. But I'm glad I waited because it did make my top 10. At number 8 is Fruitvale Station. This movie was so good, guys. It was so good. I mean, Michael B. Jordan's performance in this movie is amazing. I mean, it sucks that this year for the Oscars is kind of stacked as far as best actor in a performance goes. But Michael B. Jordan definitely put in, I feel, an Oscar-worthy performance. An Oscar-nominated worthy performance. Will he get nominated? I don't know. This movie came out earlier in the year, so it's kind of lost a little steam towards the end of the year. But it's no doubt a great movie. It's about a young man living in the not best area and living the not best life because of mistakes he's made in his life. But it's about his last day trying to make his life better regardless of how anybody thinks of him. And I really was touched by this movie because I actually hadn't heard this news story for some reason because it's based off a true story. I didn't actually hear about this, so actually it was shocking to me. And they actually combined a lot of actual footage from the incident into the movie, and I loved it. I thought it was great. It really only has 3 characters in it, so if you're a person that likes a lot of, to see a lot of people and a lot of interactions, there's really not much of that, and a lot of it is actually Michael B. Jordan by himself. So it's just a good movie. I really don't know what to say about it. Maybe I'll put up a review where I actually look more in depth into it because I think it's another one of those movies. It's an independent film that a lot of people didn't see. So I feel like people should see it. Maybe I'll put up a review and try to get it boosted a little bit because it's an excellent movie. At number 7, We're the Millers. I thought this movie was hilarious. I was laughing from beginning to end. It was a combination of kind of a more adult comedy mixed with a family film. And I love family films and I love comedies, especially adult comedies because I'm immature teenager. I'm not a teenager, an immature young male. So it combined those two. It had a lot of family aspects, but it also had the more raunchy stuff that, young men like me, just awesome. And there's a fact that Jennifer Aniston and Emma Roberts are both smoking hot. And there's an awesome scene in this movie. If you've seen it, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. That I was just rolling. I was just rolling, dying, laughing. And then there are those outtakes at the end that were actually a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend checking it out. It was one of my favorite comedies of the year, and I feel like it's severely underrated because I thought it was a lot of fun, and it actually had a really heartwarming story as well. At number 6, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Smaug. A lot of people don't say it right. Some people say smog, some people say smag. I say Smaug. Anyway, this movie was heads and tails better than the original. Way better than The Hobbit. Oh my god, so much better. I was not a big fan of The Hobbit. I kind of felt it lulled, and it definitely was not even close to as good as the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I was kind of disappointed with The Hobbit, but The Hobbit Desolation of Smaug was so good. It was so good. The action sequences were so memorable. There's this barrel scene in this movie. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. Oh, I could go and just watch that sequence for 3 hours. It was so good. I mean, then you add Legolas back, and the story gets better, and you actually start to care more about these accessory dwarf characters that I actually had no feelings for whatsoever in the first Hobbit. In the first Hobbit, I didn't even remember any of these people's names, and I couldn't have cared less if any of those characters died in the first movie. That sounds horrible. I know, I'm a bad person. Sorry, I'm a bad person. But really, I could not have cared if one of those characters died, because they just didn't develop them. You know, they didn't give them enough time for me to care about them. In this movie, they definitely take more time into making you care about these other smaller characters. So one in particular, I'm not going to give it away for those of you who haven't seen it, but one in particular, they make you care about him. And the introduction of Evangeline Lilly, oh my god, as Tariel, she is hot. She is hot. And this movie needed a hot female. It just did. It really, that's what it needed. Just one hot woman. That's all I needed. And they got it. Evangeline Lilly, you're smoking. If you're watching this, I would love to date you. Anyway, number 5. Hunger Games Catching Fire. There is no doubt that this movie is just a good movie. It's just good. I mean, The Hunger Games was good, but The Hunger Games Catching Fire is much better. It's so good. A lot of people say the second book is better than the first book. The same goes for this movie. The second movie is definitely better than the first movie, but I wouldn't say the second movie is as good as the book, but it's still so good. So good. The performances by Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson and Woody Harrelson and even Elizabeth Banks as Effie Trinket. It's just, you see this more emotion out of these characters in this movie than you did in the original. It just feels so much bigger, so much more at stake right now. And you could feel it. You could just feel that tension. My one complaint with this movie is I felt like the actual Hunger Games portion was a little rushed, which kind of bummed me out because in the book that was my favorite part, the actual games in book 2, because that's the last time we see the games, and I felt, because most of the movie was building up this political tension kind of thing, and then the last maybe like 45 minutes or so is the actual games, and I felt like they kind of just rushed through it and they kind of missed some of those great details from the games from the book. So I was kind of bummed about that, but no, overall, great movie. It flew by. The movie is like I don't remember the running time, but it's over 2 hours. It did not feel like 2 hours. It went by so quick, and I actually wish I would have gone and seen it again, because the first time I just sat there and enjoyed it and didn't really think about it, other than the fact that, like I said, I was kind of bummed the actual games were kind of skimped on just a little bit because they were trying to build this political tension for Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 could potentially be the best movies. The book is widely considered... My computer shut off. The book is widely considered as the worst of the trilogy, where I feel like they could actually translate into a movie much better. So, I feel like Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 could be good. I'm not very excited that they split it into 2 movies. That's like the new thing in Hollywood, to make 2 movies. I mean, you make a lot more money, that's for dang sure, but I feel like, you know, you could do it in one. You could do it in one. Because if you watched 1 and 2 back to back, it'd be like, okay, you could have put that all in one. You could have, if you really wanted to. So, that's my opinion on that. Number 4 is probably going to shock a lot of people, and I'm probably going to get a lot of crap for this, but I don't care. I don't care! I love it! My number 4 is Warm Bodies. I absolutely adore this movie. I thought it was cute, I thought it was funny, I thought it built tension, and it had good performances by Teresa Palmer and Nicholas Hoult. John Malkovich. Rob Corddry was great. I felt like it was just a clever twist on the zombie kind of subgenre, and I love the Romeo and Juliet tie-in kind of into it. It was adorable. It's probably the movie I watched the most of the year. I probably watched it 8, 9, 10 times over the course of the year. And if anybody that knows me knows, I'm not a big fan of watching movies over and over and over again in short periods of time, because I like to experience a wide variety. But I watched Warm Bodies like 10 times. I just loved it. I loved it. Teresa Palmer is one of my favorite actresses. She hasn't actually done much that makes her a substantial actress, but there's just something about her that I feel like she could just break out anytime, and I love her. And it helps that she's very, very pretty. So, Warm Bodies, if you haven't seen it because you think it looks kind of cheesy, it is a little cheesy, but they know exactly the right amount of cheesy they should be. And they definitely play with that, and they play with the classic tropes of the zombie and romantic comedy genre. And so I feel like it's a very smart movie, very well put together. I enjoyed it a lot. But I'm going to get a lot of crap for it. So shut your face, don't judge me. I'm calm. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you. I'm sorry! Calm down! I need to collect myself for a second. Number 3 is Gravity. Anybody that's seen Gravity knows that this movie is just awesome. It is awesome. Holy crap, is it awesome. It is an experience to go see this movie. For those of you that didn't get to see it in theaters, you missed out, because it's not going to be the same if you just rent it and bring it home. You need to see it 3D, IMAX, big screen in the theater to really appreciate feeling like you're stranded in space. This movie almost felt like I was having a heart attack. It was just felt like there was just this tension pushing on my chest the whole time. It was ridiculous, and I just walked out of that movie thinking, I do not want to be an astronaut. Oh my god, it just built. My main problem with this movie is that the writing was a little scant and a little just not very good. I mean, it's really hard to write dialogue when you really only have one character the entire time. It's hard to write good dialogue when it's one person really just talking to herself. And so it kind of was a little corny at times. But corny is worse than cheesy, if you didn't know, to use these food words. Corny, in my opinion, is worse than cheesy. Cheesy, people love cheese. Corny is kind of like, corny, But yeah, it was a little corny, especially in the part when she's talking to the dog a little bit. It was just kind of, I was kind of sitting there. It took me out. Some of the bad dialogue was actually even laughable at times, and it kind of took me out. I was kind of like, that was not very good. So it is a great movie. It is a visual experience, and if you missed out of it in theaters, I'm sorry. But when you rent it on video or DVD, video, like we use video anymore, when you rent it on Blu-ray or DVD, even if you have a 3D television, it's not going to be the same as when you're literally surrounded by this movie in 3D. It's something else. It really is. My number 2, we're in the top 2. Top 2 is American Hustle. I love this movie. I love this movie. It just barely missed out of being number 1. The performances of the cast were mind-blowing. Christian Bale, holy crap, was he awesome. Amy Adams blew me away. She was amazing, and she was sexy in this movie. Damn sexy. She's a 40-year-old woman. She was hot. Holy crap. And Bradley Cooper, oh my gosh, curly perm hair and all, he was great. My opinion, his best performance ever. Way better than Silver Linings Playbook. He was fantastic in this movie. And Jennifer Lawrence was great. She was so good. She annoyed me a lot, which is what her character was supposed to do, but so awesome to her, but she was annoying. Oh my god. Jeremy Renner, I like Jeremy Renner a lot in this movie. I'm not a big fan of Jeremy Renner, but I liked him a lot in this movie as a politician. And I thought he brought a lot of realness and heart to this movie, where all these other characters were very big and very expressive and a little bit more larger than life, because that's just kind of how they lived in this kind of age, you know, that 70s feel, which is what this movie really brings, which I really like. It brings that 70s feel. And Jeremy Renner grounded it. His character was very grounded, and I like that about this movie. Whereas Christian Bale and Amy Adams and Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper, all their characters were really, really out there. Jeremy Renner brought it back to earth, so I liked him in this movie a lot. He really grounded it. And at my number one,
My one love, my one heart, my one life for sure. Let me tell you one time.
I am a closeted retro Justin Bieber fan. Not current Justin Bieber fan, retro. At number one is This Is the End. This movie was hysterical. I was laughing the entire time. The whole movie was funny. It's because I personally want to be an actor, and I felt it was hilarious that these people were making fun of that lifestyle and the way they live and making fun of themselves. It just made me laugh so much because we look at these people as, you know, larger than life, you know what I mean? We hold them for some reason to a higher standard than other people because they're famous. And this was their chance to be like, you know what? We are just the same as everybody else, and we can make fun of ourselves just as much as any of you can. So I just felt this movie was hilarious. I thought it was genius. It was based off a short that Jay Rochelle and Seth Rogen wrote. Or Seth Rogen and Evan Wright, I'm sorry. It was based off a short that they wrote, and it was just, I don't know how they made it into an actual full-length movie with so much character, and so it's smart humor and gross humor and stupid humor. It had something for everybody, and reference humor, religious humor. It just had everything. It just had everything, and even actually, in my opinion, really good performances by Jay Baruchel and Seth Rogen as these two core friends. It actually has a really good kind of message in it, and I love that about this movie. It was over the top hilarious. It actually had a really good message. It was outrageous and crazy, and just it was a spectacle. And the final sequence, oh my god, I was dying. I was in the theater hollering laughing with my sister next to me, who was also hollering laughing, and I was dying. Anybody that's seen it will know. This is probably one of the ones that a lot of people have seen, but I loved it. I bought it the day it came out. I bought this movie because I just loved it that much. It was so freaking good. Well, there you have it. That is my top 10 of 2013. Not the top 10 best movies of 2013, but my favorite 10. Now, like I told you before, I am not a professional movie goer. I am not a professional reviewer. So I don't have time nor the means to go see every single movie on the, that comes out in a given year. And so there are a lot of movies that I have not seen yet that maybe probably or should be in my top 10. I just haven't seen them. Some of these include... Sorry, I was looking at my list. Some of these include Trance, Walter Mitty, Anchorman 2, which I was really upset I haven't gotten to see yet. Dallas Buyers Club, 12 Years a Slave. I'm so upset I didn't get to see it. Her and About Time. And Frozen and Captain Phillips. These are all movies I did not get a chance to see yet. Which probably, if I saw them, would probably be in my top 10. Any one of them could have made it. But since I haven't seen them, I'm kind of bummed. And a couple movies that just missed out on my honorable mentions that I did just see recently, but didn't actually blow me away as much as I thought they would. Prisoners. I thought Prisoners was great. But for me, it was too long. I felt they drew it out a little too much. And what was advertised felt more condensed and more heavy than it actually was. They really stretched to get to that, for some reason, to get to that, over that 2 hour mark, which seems to be like the new thing for movies, is to be over 2 hours or 2.5 hours, which I don't want to go see a 2.5 hour movie every weekend. I wouldn't. So Prisoners kind of fell a little short for me. And Mud, I liked Mud a lot. I liked it a lot. Matthew McConaughey's performance was good. But the movie's not about Matthew McConaughey, really. It's really about a kid in the movie whose name slips me right now. But it kind of comes off like it's a Matthew McConaughey movie, and it's not. It's more about this kid. Although Matthew McConaughey and Reese Witherspoon are in it, and they both have really good performances, I liked it a lot, but it just wasn't enough to make my top 10 or my honorable mentions. You know, you can only have so many honorable mentions. And the last movie that didn't make my list, and here I'll tell you why, is Lone Survivor. The Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg, Eric Bana, Emil Hirsch, Ben Foster. Great movie. Taylor Kish. It was excellent. It was really heavy and really emotional, and actually I almost started crying. And I know men are, you know, that's not something you're supposed to do, but this movie really gets to you. It really does. And I'm not even from a military family, so I can't even imagine if I had a lot of family in the military, how this movie would affect me. It would have really been affected me. So the reason why I didn't put it on my top 10 2013 is because I didn't see it until last week, and it came out right at the end of the year. So I'm almost classifying it as a 2014 movie. Even though it really came out, it had limited screenings, I'm pretty sure, in 2013. It didn't have, I don't think it had a wide release until 2014. So I'm going to save this movie potentially for my 2014 movies. But I did like it. If I would include it in the 2013 year, it would be on my list. I don't know where, I don't know what I'd take out to put in there, but it would be on there. So just remember that. Thank you all for watching. Like I said, this is my first video ever, so it's probably kind of rough, and the lighting and the ambiance and me shifting on this swivelly chair this whole time probably was distracting, and I'm sorry if this really wasn't great, but I promise you I'm going to be working and working and working on increasing the quality of my videos, of my movie reviews, my breakdowns. Remember, Blaydeman's movie breakdowns. Thank you all again. I'm so glad I'm finally getting to do this. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I really appreciate it. Subscribe, please, if you enjoyed this and love movies, because I'm going to be trying to put out a movie review every week, hopefully on Saturdays. I'm going to start putting out a new video every Saturday, hopefully starting next week, because this will be my video for this week. And if you like me or like the channel, please share it with your friends and ask them to subscribe, because I would really, really appreciate that. I love discussing movies, and the more people I can discuss movies with would just make my day. So thank you very much. Subscribe. Thank you. Bye. On this show, I will be doing movie reviews. Sorry, I can't talk. Starring Jesse Eisenberg, Isla Fisher, Woody Harrelson, and Baby Franco. Dave Franco. Not really James Franco's son. Dave Franco's little brother. I'm sorry, that was dumb. Yeah. Olga's. Sorry. I just bought this hat today, though, so that's pretty cool. Look at that. See, check it! Galaxy!